Good morning, sweet friends. How are you? I am back with our second episode of Sweet Spirit Sunday. As you can tell, my energy is a little bit low key versus last week on my first Sweet Spirit Sunday. I am visibly and probably I am sleepy. Well, I got sleep, but I just so happened last night to stay up and wait on my husband to get home. He was out of town. They had an away track meet, and he didn't arrive home till about 2 a.m. And I wanted to wait up on him, which is way past my bedtime. If you know me, you know I go to bed with my kids at 8 o'clock, 8:30. I do good to make the 10 o'clock news. At any rate, so I am here with you guys, all comfy with my warm water here. I've been doing research on what hot water does for the digestive system. Anyway, so with my warm water here and my fuzzy socks from my mom, I love these socks. They're so fuzzy and warm, and they have the little, um, I guess, the grip on the bottom of them for walking around the house, so it's better than a shoe. Sometimes I can keep them on at all times. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, I am here to just drop something in your spirit. I remind you that I am not a missionary or evangelist or anyone that has been called. Um, I am just Candy, and I am here to just share my own spiritual walk with you as I read in my own devotions and the things that I hear when I'm listening to podcasts and even conversations that I have with friends and family. So today's topic for Sweet Spirit Sunday is um, trusting the process as we wait on God's promise. And we've heard the message and several messages about promise. God's promise all the time. He promises this: a new home, a new car, a spouse. He promised for those of us who don't have children yet, a family. And we can go on and on and on, a new career, about the promises God makes for us or to us. And let me just say this: He always, always, always fulfills His promise to us. But what we forget is the process. We get so excited, especially at the new year. I was just talking with a really close friend at the gym last week or the week before last, and we were just chit chatting about how the new year gets everybody excited. I'm gonna lose weight this year. This is gonna be the year that I start school, and all of that is wonderful because we start off, we feel with a new beginning, a clean slate. And so that's awesome. And we want to speak those things into um, fruition. And we want to, the Bible even says, speak those things as though they were. And there is power in the tongue. So all of that is wonderful that you're speaking. We have a new year. Ooh, excuse me. We have a new year, and we want to start off gung ho, continue to be gung ho, but we can't get discouraged when the process starts, right? Um, Process is those challenges that come our way, those stumbling blocks that come our way as we continue to strive towards the promise. And a lot of times that process takes so much longer than we would prefer. And we start looking at our watch and we start questioning God and we want to know when and how come it's taking so long. And another one for me is because I like to plan and I think I have it all planned out. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. That's when I'm going to get to this. But we have to remember God has a whole nother plan sometimes. And it may end up being what you are working towards, that goal. But there may be other avenues He takes you through in the process before He gets you to the promise. So, all I'm here to do today is to remind you that there is usually always a process. I was listening to a podcast. I like the podcast Elevation. And Bishop T.D. Jakes was on there speaking with the pastor of Elevation Church. And he said that oftentimes those who have gotten to what we call today success. They are successful in their businesses. They have, nice homes and cars and finances, the things that we call success, right? We look at them from the outside looking in like, wow, that's awesome. We give them all these accolades. And even listening to Bishop Jakes, he was just, sharing where he was at his life at that time. But he then shared the process it took him to get there and how he was walking as a new pastor to church, and the 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 people in his church had given him this car that was run down and not working and so forth, and that he was just sharing his testimony of the process before he got to this big um, bishop that we know to be today. And so the one thing that stuck out as he was speaking was that he said, oftentimes, those who have um, succeeded the most usually have gone through a pretty tough process. So oftentimes we have to, when we look at people of success, I guarantee you there was a lot that they went through before they got to the end. So I encourage you to keep hold to God's promise, but just don't forget about the process. And that process is there because it's making us better for and preparing us for the promise. We don't often understand it, we don't often get it, and sometimes we might even question it. And I'm a strong believer in being honest with God. And sometimes when people say don't question, but when I am in my own prayer, so I ask questions, and I want answers from him. Sometimes he doesn't answer and sometimes he does, or it comes in all types of different ways where I think, oh, okay, got it, got it. That's what that was for. So don't forget that the promise is coming, but there is a process, a waiting period. There may be challenges, and it is there for a purpose. So it sounds like three P's there. There is a process that has a purpose that gets you to God's promise. So I encourage you, sweet friends, to just trust God, have faith in the process, because you know that He is always going to fulfill His promise.